What's going on, people? Back for my second official video. If you didn't get a chance to go watch my intro video, I highly recommend doing that. Just gives you an idea of who I am, what I'm going to be doing. But obviously you're here, so you know it's a sports channel. I'm Fat Jack, and here with my opinions and my thoughts again today. So today we're going to be talking about some MMA. Yeah, so it's just going to be one of them things. MMA is kind of a really deep love of mine, and I'm just trying to do a first video to everything. So I did my first basketball video yesterday on Game 1, Cavs-Warriors. If you didn't get a chance to check that out, go check it out. Drop a comment, let me know what you think. But other than that, let's hop right into it. So I'm here in Michigan, and I love being here in Michigan. I love Michigan MMA. So to open this up, I guess I'm just going to talk about some Michigan MMA fighters. Two guys in the UFC right now, making it big, doing crazy good, and tearing through their respective divisions. We've got Kevin Motown Phenom Lee in the lightweight division out of Detroit. And we've got Cody the Spartan Stamann out of Spartan, Michigan, currently in the bantamweight division, absolutely tearing things up. Both these guys are pretty high ranked right now. Kevin at number 5, Cody at number 11. So yeah, let's just hop into this and let's kind of talk about it. So I'm going to start with Cody. What can I say about Cody? I've been watching this kid for years. I say kid, but he's actually older than I am. But I've been watching Cody for years in the local circuit. Kid's a beast. I mean, I really can't say much more about him other than the fact that he's a monster. You look at him, you'd probably never guess he was a bantamweight. He's shorter, but he's built like a brick shit house. I'm 6'6", 320. First time I met Cody, I think I was at like 265, and I'm not quite sure how tall he is, but he's not even close to me. And I'm not going to lie, I was slightly intimidated just because of his stature and the way he presents himself. All-around great guy. But let's talk about his MMA career a little bit. So he's currently sitting at 17-1. If you ask him, it should be 18-0. And I agree with him on that. But he's coming off a huge decision victory over Brian Caraway. Man, that was a great fight. 3 hard-fought rounds. Cody came away with the victory. I think it was a great decision by the judges. But huge victory for Cody, probably the biggest win of his career to date. But definitely some more coming up. He has had 3 fights in the UFC so far. He's 3-0 in the UFC. Currently ranked number 11 in the bantamweight division. And honestly, I believe that he can stand toe-to-toe with just about anybody in that division and hold his own. From what I've noticed, Cody's more of a wrestler, but he will stand and strike with you. And he can very well. But if he gets you on the ground, you might as well just consider the fight over at that point. Kid's just a beast. As far as a future fight for him goes, I've been kind of looking at it and seeing who's fighting coming up in that division, and what makes sense for him ranking-wise. Now the UFC does crazy things, and they bump people up all the time that'll come from a number 11 or 12 and fight a number 5 or 4 or 5 guy. But honestly, what I could see happening, what I would personally like to see, is either Cody Stamann at number 11 against either a number 7 John Dodson or a number 6 John Lineker. Both these guys present excellent challenges for Cody, and I think Cody could hold his own very well. I think it'd be a great test to Cody's career and to Cody's skills. Both Johns are more stand-up strikers. From what I understand, I don't know a whole lot about John Lineker, but John Dodson, I've been watching him for a while. So it'd be a real interesting matchup. But I'd like to see one of those fights happen. Cody fought not that long ago, so who knows? We could be seeing a matchup coming up here soon. Possibly shooting for a September fight, October maybe. Which I think would be awesome. I don't know what these guys are thinking, but I think it would be a fantastic matchup, either one of these guys with Cody. Other than that, I don't really have a whole lot to say on Cody. I think he's got a huge career ahead of him in the UFC. He's 28 years old, so he's still relatively young. He's still got a lot of years ahead of him, and that top 5 better watch out, because Cody the Spartan Stamann is definitely coming after him. And I don't see anybody right now outside of the top 5 that's really going to slow him down. There's some moves going on at the top of that division, so we'll see what happens. Now on to my other fighter, Kevin the Motown Phenom Lee out of Detroit, Michigan. Lightweight division, currently ranked number 5, coming off a monstrous victory over Edson Barbosa. Huge doctor stoppage in the 5th round. Honestly, I could have seen it being stopped in the 3rd, possibly the 4th. But, man, you got to give Edson credit. It doesn't matter which round it is. Doesn't matter how bad he's getting beat. If he's got half a second to react, he's going to, and he's always explosive. So Edson's the kind of guy it's really hard to tell. But by the stoppage in the 5th round, you could kind of tell he just wasn't quite there. He wasn't given the Edson Barbosa effort that we're used to. Kevin came in round 1 and got him to the ground and absolutely mauled him. A lot like Khabib did, but I'd say that Kevin did it better than Khabib. Edson was able to stuff a lot of Khabib's stuff, and Khabib had to work a lot harder to get him down. Kevin had no problems getting him down. Once he was there, he kept him there. The times where they were standing, everybody knows Edson Barbosa is one of the most dangerous strikers in the lightweight division, let alone possibly the UFC, with some of the most dangerous kicks the UFC has ever seen in any division. And Kevin stood and was striking with him very well, holding his own very well. Majority of the fight, I'd say Kevin was actually a more dominant striker. And anybody who knows anything about Kevin, everybody knows he's a wrestler. He wants to get you to the ground, but he's really putting a lot of focus into a stand-up game, and he really showed that. He wrestled at Grand Valley State University here in Michigan. So he's always been an extremely well-rounded wrestler, and now he's showing he's an extremely well-rounded striker as well. He's had a couple of losses. He's currently sitting at 17-3, but the guy is an absolute monster. Let me tell you, if you are sleeping on Kevin Lee, he is going to show up and show out, and he's going to be sitting at the top of that division in no time flat. So don't sleep on Kevin Lee. He has fought his way to that top 5, and he has earned the right to be there. Let me tell you, Kevin Lee can stand up, and he can go toe-to-toe with any of the guys in the top 5 of that division, and that includes Khabib Nurmagomedov, who is currently sitting at the lightweight champion. I think that a lot of people are going to say, well, Kevin just lost to Tony Ferguson last year, but Kevin also went into that fight with staph infection. He was not healthy. I give Kevin a lot of props, actually, for going into that fight. A lot of fighters would have dropped that. But Kevin went in with staph infection, and if you've ever had it, you know it takes an absolute toll on your body. It just makes you exhausted, and it takes everything out of you. And Kevin stood and fought with Tony Ferguson for a minute, okay? And then you could see it was really getting him. A lot of people were worried about his stamina and endurance coming into these 5-round main event fights, but he showed it against Edson Barbosa. He can go 5 rounds, and coming into the 5th round, he still looked pretty fresh. For a guy who's only been there a handful of times. He's actually never been into the 5th round of a fight in his UFC career, but he clearly showed that he can do it. Now, let's talk about some upcoming opponents, possibilities, what I'd like to see happen with Kevin. So you got number 3 and number 4 in the lightweight division, Dustin Poirier, Eddie Alvarez, that are already scheduled to fight. So that takes those 2 out for quite a while. Figure we'll probably see them fight in 4 or 5 months, and then they'll be out another 4 or 5 months after that fight, just R&R kind of stuff. Tony Ferguson, sitting at number 2, is hurt. we probably won't even see him back in the gym training for 8 months. So we might see him back in the cage this time next year. You got Conor sitting at the #1 contender spot, and then Khabib sitting with the belt. Now, I don't know what's going on with Conor after the New York incidents. I don't know if he's going to be back in the cage anytime soon. He's Conor. He's the money child of the UFC, so I'm sure they're going to make it work. Everybody's saying that the fight to be made is Conor Khabib, and I agree with that. But right now, I think with Conor having taken so much time off, I think that, and having been stripped of his belt, I think that it should go to Kevin. I think Kevin should get matched with Khabib for that fight. I think Kevin has earned it, and he deserves it. Don't get me wrong, I love Conor to death. I think he's a great fighter, but he's got a lot of personal issues I think he needs to work on outside of the cage. And I think right now Kevin deserves it more than Conor does. I think Kevin has shown that. Now, I think that Kevin Khabib would be a phenomenal matchup. Both these guys are phenomenal grapplers. I think Kevin is a better striker. So if the fight is on their feet, I think Kevin has the upper hand. On the ground, it really just depends on who's got the better position. Both these guys are phenomenal on the ground. I'd say Khabib is a better grappler. Kevin is a better wrestler. And Kevin from his back is damn near unstoppable. He has some of the best back game I've ever seen. You could think you've got the upper hand on him. You could be in full mount, postured up, dropping hammers. If Kevin's on his back, watch out, because he will find a way to get out of it, and he will dominate you on the ground if he gets dominant position. His rear naked choke game is insane. His submissions are great all around. But we've seen that rear naked choke, once he gets those hooks in and sinks that in under your chin, you might as well tap, because you're going night-night. But I think that Kevin Khabib is the fight to be made. Khabib's currently going through Ramadan, so he's only training at night. But I think that I think Khabib's trying to fight late September, October time. So I think if they were to book that fight soon, get both those guys into a proper training camp, we could possibly see that fight sometime September, October, maybe Vegas, Madison Square Gardens, who knows. All around, I just think that would be a phenomenal fight, huge money-making fight. Obviously, Conor McGregor is the money child. Any fight you book Conor is going to sell pay-per-view. He's going to make money. But I also don't think that Conor should be given that fight just yet. But Conor Khabib be a huge money fight for the UFC. And we all know the UFC is about their money. I can't hate on that. It's a business. You want to make as much money as possible. So who knows? There's a lot of crazy things going on in the UFC right now. A lot of moves, especially in the lightweight division. I think the lightweight division is the most polarizing and energizing division in the UFC currently. Just the most talent in that top 10. But I think Kevin has proved that he deserves somebody in that top 5, not someone out of the top 5. But who knows what the UFC is going to do. I know Kevin's the kind of guy where he will pretty much fight whoever you put in front of him. But Kevin's been calling out Khabib for years. There's a lot of beef there. I think Khabib is scared of him. That's why Khabib keeps trying to get Khabib as a champion, is going and trying to get these fights with all these other guys. I think Khabib's scared of him. Khabib's never fought someone with a ground game quite like Kevin, and I think that scares him. So who knows? We might see something crazy happen soon, but I think if it's going to happen, they're going to make that fight here real shortly. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say about these guys. I love both these guys to death. I've been watching them in the local circuit for years. Been following both of these guys' careers in the UFC since day one. So who knows what's going to happen. But I figured it was only fitting that my first MMA-related video be about two Michigan guys. Drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Start a debate with me. Argue with me. let's have some fun. Let's discuss what I said. If you don't agree with it, hit the dislike button. If you like my video, drop a like button. But all around, whether you hate me or you love me, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you next time in my next video. I'm thinking probably I'm going to do hockey next, considering right now is the Stanley Cup Finals. Let's go Vegas. But we'll talk about that in my next video. You guys have a fantastic night, but make sure you hit that subscribe button below.